The park was quiet that afternoon, a soft breeze rustling amber leaves. Then suddenly, a man crumpled to the ground, helpless and alone. Two strangers rushed to his side, their hands gentle, their hearts unyielding. But what happened next, no one could have imagined. Introduction and setup. It was late autumn in a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of the city. The air smelled faintly of damp earth and fallen leaves, tinged with the sweet scent of late-blooming chrysanthemums. Sunlight filtered through bare branches, casting long shadows that stretched across the cracked pavement of the park's winding paths. The park was a place of refuge for many. The elderly came to feed the birds, children to play, and couples to steal a few quiet moments away from the city's relentless pace. On this day, the park held a particular stillness, as if the world itself was holding its breath. At the center of this scene was Henry Thompson, an elderly man of 78. His face was etched with the map of a long and difficult life. Deep lines traced around tired eyes, and his hands bore the faint tremor of age. Henry's clothes were neat but worn, his brown coat threadbare at the cuffs and his shoes scuffed from years of wandering these paths alone. Henry was a man wrapped in grief and regret. Since losing his wife Margaret 2 years prior, the world had seemed colder, emptier. He carried with him a faded photograph, a sepia-toned image of Margaret smiling in their youth, tucked carefully inside his wallet. It was the only piece of warmth left in a life that had grown silent. His daily routine was simple but deliberate. A slow walk through the park every afternoon, a moment of stillness by the old oak tree where they had once carved their initials, and then a quiet return home to an empty apartment. But on this particular day, something inside Henry felt heavier than usual, as if the weight of his loneliness was about to break him. Conflict or challenge introduced. At the same time, across the park, a couple was strolling hand in hand. Marcus and Aaliyah Johnson were well known in their community, not for wealth or status, but for kindness that rippled outward like sunlight. Marcus, a tall, strong man with a calm demeanor and deep brown eyes, worked as a nurse. Aaliyah, graceful and radiant, was a teacher, beloved by children and parents alike for her gentle patience. Together, they were a beacon of hope in a world that often seemed harsh and unforgiving. On this crisp afternoon, they were walking their dog, Jasper, a lively golden retriever with a wagging tail and bright eyes. The couple laughed softly, their conversation weaving through stories of school, work, and dreams. Suddenly, Jasper tugged hard on his leash, pulling Marcus toward a motionless figure lying beside the path. Henry had collapsed. Marcus caught him, just in time, steadying the frail man's shoulders as Aaliyah hurried to call for help on her phone. "Sir, are you okay?" Marcus asked gently, his voice steady despite the surge of alarm in his chest. Henry's eyes fluttered open briefly, confusion clouding his gaze. I don't know," he murmured, voice cracked like old parchment. Aaliyah knelt beside him, her hand warm on his wrist, checking his pulse. The cold air seemed to seep into Henry's bones as he shivered. "Help is on the way," she assured him softly. "You're safe now," building emotional tension. As they waited, Marcus and Aaliyah stayed close, their presence a quiet anchor in the swirling fog of Henry's fear. Jasper sat loyally nearby, his eyes flickering between the three humans, sensing the gravity of the moment. Henry's breaths were shallow. He clutched at his chest, pain flickering across his face like a storm cloud. "I think, heart," he whispered. Marcus squeezed his hand gently. "You're doing great, just hold on." The ambulance arrived quickly, and paramedics took over, lifting Henry onto a stretcher. Before he was wheeled away, Henry looked back at Marcus and Aaliyah. "Thank you," he whispered, voice barely audible. "You're not alone," Aaliyah replied, tears brimming. Midpoint revelation or twist. Days passed. Henry recovered slowly in the hospital, but his mind was restless. The couple who had saved him lingered in his thoughts, especially Marcus, whose kindness had felt like a lifeline. One afternoon, as Henry sat by the window in his hospital room, the door opened quietly. Marcus stepped in, a bouquet of wildflowers, in hand. "I wanted to see how you're doing," Marcus said, smiling warmly. Henry's eyes widened in surprise. "I didn't expect anyone to come back." Marcus shrugged, sitting beside him. "You saved me too. Without you, I wouldn't have realized something important." Henry frowned, confused. "You see, when I was a boy, my grandmother was sick and alone. I didn't know how to help her. I was just a kid. But your strength that day reminded me that kindness is never wasted. It always comes back." Henry's voice trembled. "I don't feel strong. I feel broken." "Maybe that's just it," Marcus said softly. "You're not broken. You're becoming." The words settled like sunlight breaking through clouds. Climax, emotional breakthrough. Over the next weeks, Marcus visited often. Aaliyah joined sometimes, bringing laughter and stories. Henry found himself opening up, telling tales of his youth, his love for Margaret, his regrets. One day, as Marcus helped Henry stand to walk a little, Henry paused, looking down at his trembling legs. "I don't know if I can." Marcus smiled, steadying him. "Try, one step at a time." Henry took a hesitant step, then another. Tears welled in his eyes, not from pain but from a flicker of hope. "You're stronger than you think," Marcus said. Henry nodded, whispering, "I want to live again." Resolution and quiet closure. Months later, the park had changed, not just with the seasons, but with Henry. He walked along the same winding paths, this time not alone. Marcus and Aaliyah were there. Jasper bounding ahead, their laughter weaving into the soft hum of the afternoon. Henry carried the faded photograph of Margaret still, but now it was less a weight and more a precious treasure, a reminder of love that never dies. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Henry sat beneath the old oak tree. Marcus and Aaliyah joined him, sharing a quiet smile. "You saved me," Henry said quietly. "We saved each other," Marcus replied. The sky blushed with the colors of sunset, orange, pink, and gold, a quiet promise of new beginnings. Call to action. If this story touched your heart, consider subscribing for more inspiring tales of hope, healing, and unexpected kindness. Hit the like button and share this with someone who needs it today.